get your pay. We'll go side bud. Every Friday, everybody. Welcome to the Hangout. Welcome to the live chat of the Hangout. How's everybody doing today? I am Frank White. If you check out the link in the title of this live, it's a link to Discord to the Hangout. Bare bones just started up right now. Looking to create a place where people can conversate, share, and just hang out. It's through the Discord app. If you're not familiar, do your research before joining it. Free to join. You don't have to pay nothing. I think you just have to download through the Google Store or your Apple Store. The Discord app should be free. Encouraging a community of free thinkers and free speakers. Put up a couple of community posts earlier today. There's a questionnaire, a multiple choice. You can go ahead and pick one of those if you like. Let me know how you feel about that. And there was one about asking if we'll be interested in live, where we can do live chats, conversate about topics. I know the huge influx on this channel recently has been about the Matt Brown subject. So, of course, that is what we'll probably be talking about most of the time for now. And, I always encourage everybody who participates to be respectful of others, as well as the man we're talking about there in that subject matter. You know, I'm not trying to build a community here where we're making fun of people or necessarily fanning the flames for somebody to downgrade. Nah, never that. Been watching Matt Brown ever since the Alaskan Bush people things, and picked him up on YouTube a couple of years ago. Been following him journey off and on for a while, and there was just a moment where I seen one of his lives, and I was like, I feel like I have to say something. I just feel like I have to say something, and it's because I felt like at a point where it's like, man, this dude is not being honest with people, and that's where that comes from. It wasn't to bash or degrade anybody. It's just like, I got to say something. Because that's just the type of person I've been when I see things happening. I'm like, hey, whoa, maybe that's not honest right there. Maybe we can shed some light on something. So, had a complete surprisal of, to me, of comments of new subscribers and people who are genuinely interested in this story, in this saga, if you will. So, that's what we're doing here for now. If you look at my channel, this is probably one of the first times I've ever done like a reaction type to anything besides like news or political subjects. You know what I mean? Um, about me, I've been creating music, basically trying to find ways to entertain people through this channel for many years. So, I never ever once thought like a lot of people would like to see what you think about somebody else's predicament. But it just felt like it was, I've been paying attention, I've been seeing things that connect to me because I've lived through that, through the addictions and through the losses. and through the blame shifting and through the other things, manipulation, if you will. And I've had to learn a lot of lessons about myself to understand more about myself. So when I see somebody else struggling, it's like, oh, I see a lot there, and I feel like I have something to say. Thank you. I appreciate your subscription, of course, and I appreciate you watching. And I just want to, you know, disclosure. This is not my apparatus. This is not my plan of action to make videos about people at their lowest points, of course. I do, however, see some value about connecting with other people because that's what it really is. There's a connection with Matt. There's a connection with the people who are supporting him. There's a connection with the people who are, rooting for him to fail. So there's a lot to offer here as far as conversation and a lot of opportunity for people to learn stuff about themselves. And if you feel like you have to just be justified by saying something that you were taken advantage of, then why not? I apologize. Can you guys don't hear me very well? Well, let's go back to come on. Check all my settings here. All right, perhaps apologize for that. Kind of roaming around freestyle outside and whatnot, so I can get to a better location. We can turn some volumes down, make the conversation a little bit more better understood, hopefully. Oh my goodness, so sorry about that. Excuse me. Very sensitive headphone mic setup here. Let me check in here with the chat. Hey, glad that's better. Sorry about that. I'll try to speak up. So, it's kind of a weird thing that to have this discussion with people I've just met. Like I said, I'm invested into a character that I've been watching for a while. A lot of you, I'm sure, are. I'm interested to know at what point did you start watching, um, you know, the story of Matt Brown, or in what way muffled. Hold on. Let me check some things. That's any better? Turn my headphones off. Had my headphones off. Hopefully the microphone's working better. Let me know if you can hear. Okay. Raggy369 says I watched Alaskan Bush People, then I found Matt on YouTube when he was leaving the orchard. All right. Sorry about that. Thank you. Might need a new headset, but that's all right. No biggie. When he started, let's see, OGGOD2B. What?
Started watching when he started the music on his channel. Okay. Yeah, I'm not real. Like YouTube is one of the things I watch a lot, right? Because I don't know where I fell off. Who wants to watch the news anymore? So I started watching YouTube a lot instead of the news, and I found a whole lot of more interesting things I could tune in, and that kind of became a routine. So like I don't know, Matt Brown popped up for me. See the Orchard. I don't know because I wasn't really tuned in a whole lot. I would check in, check out, check in, check out. But I feel like it was about a year and a half ago or so. And there's something about the Brown family that was always interesting to me. The way they speak, their dialect is a little different. Um, and I felt like when I was watching the show, I was like, and I'm always trying to understand people while I'm watching them, hearing them. I'm always dissecting that, analyzing things, and I always felt like it was a weird situation. So I think that's what like pretty much drawed me in. I feel like there was definitely I don't want to say that we're drawn to trauma, but sometimes those people who are very empathetic are drawn to situations and people who are dealing with trauma, if that makes sense. And I always felt like there was something about that situation that was just not quite what it was meant to be, and or not meant to be, but presented to be, if you feel what I'm saying. Of course it isn't. It's reality TV. They've script, and he's explained that plenty of times about how situations were scripted, and you know. But when I started watching YouTube and tuning in, I'm like, hey man, good for him. But there was a reason why I feel like I was tuned in to Matt because it was like a black sheep thing. Like what happened when they dismissed him from the series? Like I always had questions about that. Lots of people always did. What happened to Matt Brown? What happened to Matt Brown? And even while I'm kind of jumping around here, but while watching this series, while I was kind of drawn to him, is because I feel like he definitely carried some characteristics that were in tune with my own, if that makes sense. Like connecting some ethereal dots between me and himself about, there's a struggle there. And I'm still watching, I'm still dissecting, I'm still understanding that. But I've seen his struggle that he's going through now, and I've gone through that, and I relate even more now than I did then because now I understand, he's been pretty upfront about sharing that, and I've connected on that kind of level with him because I believe that he does have a good heart and he will turn around. And if not, on his own, at the very least, he deserves it to have turned around for him. So, yeah, for sure, the black sheep was a little strange, a little off, and I think he's explained that a few times. There's few things that he said over the last couple of months where he talked about his relationship with his dad, and he said, yeah, me and my dad were the best friends and worst of friends. Basically, we partied together and we fought together, and I understand that because that's something that relates to me when I was growing up as the oldest in my family. It's like, especially when your parents rely on you so much, and we can always get into my story if anybody's interested, whatever. But I'm not gonna just connecting here overall. But as a youngster, it was like when you're the oldest, and from my perspective, the single family, like I became the man of the family, so to speak. Like I tried to protect, my brothers and my sisters and my mom and all that stuff, and I felt that responsibility. But I feel like Mr. Brown, you know what I'm saying, Billy Brown, possibly used his children as like as a workforce, if you will, and without using words that are triggering, you know what I mean. Relied a whole lot on his family to do the things that maybe he didn't necessarily want to do. I don't know. That's how I saw the show. was like, okay, we've got this ground, brown people, now go build it, and I'm gonna be over here. Like that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So I think that's maybe why I connected definitely with this guy's story so much. It's like I felt for him that he was, and he's explained it. He has explained it. So appreciate you guys checking in to live, just rambling here. I would like to create, because there's an opportunity of new people coming to the channel. I like to create a place that maybe you guys haven't had before, of just being allowed to speak and share your thoughts and opinions and your feelings whatsoever. However you may feel about me or anything else that we're talking about here, that's totally what I'm all about. So appreciate you for taking part. Number one. What do you guys think about, like, I think he definitely feels like there's a whole lot of hatred being put upon him right now, and he uses the words like the hate coalition or whatever. And through my understanding of what I'm trying to understand, anyways, of his perception and what he's projecting, right? Because that's all we can do, is try to understand what people are putting out there. Is that basically he just wants to hear the good stuff. And, for people who need to actually know the truth, as we all probably understand, the truth hurts. And, brother, I think a lot of people are throwing the truth at your face, whether you like it or not, because they care. And I don't think it's about hate. There's a lot of hurt feelings surrounding this man and this project of his, his adventure, because a lot of people gave money and have been trying to support him in a positive way. And this adventure, which, I'm all down for the adventure, bro. Let's go. Like, you don't have to, obviously, to make us happy. You shouldn't do it to make us happy. You should do it to make yourself happy. That's what the adventure should be about. It's about Matt Brown making Matt Brown happy. And that's what people will tune into in a positive manner. And I think that's part of what I have to say. Like, I'm not trying to tear this man down. Like, it's the opposite. It's like, dude, we see what the struggle is, and we all can relate in different ways. A lot of us can relate in different ways. Some of us are addicts, some of us are alcoholics, some of us are this, that, and the other, and we all have struggles and stuff. So yes, Raggy. Great to have a place to have constructive criticism. Truth sounds like hate to those who hate the truth. We can all see he's on a downward spiral, and he can't admit it. Nana says him not wanting any help for himself is really upsetting people, it seems like also. Raggy says, I agree, Nana, and a lot of people just wants to help. Well, and I can speak from a place of understanding that the only time you're ever going to accept help is when you admit you need it. And I feel like Matt has built this, and I can relate it once again, this barrier or this structure about himself, that he is strong and that he doesn't need help. Because sometimes when we're young and impressionable and we feel like we need help and we realize that it wasn't ever going to be there, we create almost an alter ego. And in the ways that he references Wolverine, I've done this myself. Hulk, my thing was Hulk, like Hulk smash. Like, when I would reach a point of no more talking, no more no more consulting, no more input, Hulk smash comes out instead of the logical, clear thinking person. And for him, I think he He believes he can heal. Wolverine's his thing, and Wolverine's dope. As far as comics go, as far as characters go, I'm all about Wolverine, and we could talk about that stuff. You guys like, comics and stuff, many different interests we could share here on this channel. But I'm just saying, I think he chose Wolverine because he feels like he's always attacked, but he always heals. So he's almost immortal in a way, and that's a good thing. Good thing for him. I just think possibly he's not realizing how much self damage that is occurring, if you will, how much self damage we allow to occur while we are on the struggle of. And I don't like using the word recovery because I don't feel like. All right, so I've been through the steps. I've done all these things too. I went to the NA, I went to the AA. I've done my little bit of times here, there in sobriety, and I've reached my own decisions of how to live my life, right? And I think he has too. And he always says like, take what works for you and leave what doesn't. And that's what's important. You gotta take what works for you. Billy McFly, all I tried to do was help him, and he called me a scammer. I still hope he gets the help he deserves and needs. Same here, friend. I'm not saying all I ever did was try to help him, but I definitely wish him the best and think he will. He will. I believe he will. So if I just put that in the universe, I believe he will. Then you know that's what I want to rely on. I don't think being, and I'm not, like I said, I haven't been scammed. I haven't been fraud. I didn't give any money, so I don't have a place of anger here. I have a place of sympathy, empathy, and understanding, where I'm like, oh man, I see this dude struggling, and I just kind of want to reach out and give him a couple of things here and there, and because I don't have the overall answer, but just a couple of things here and there that helps. Thank you. I'm Thank you for saying that. Your calm demeanor is comforting. Hey, appreciate that. Dana Fearless says, Matt calls you a scammer while he's hating on all the people who are donating money because they took him out of his word. They took him and he hates. Okay. Yep. Well, I mean, I think I pointed that out in the video that I released earlier today that I found off of Reddit, where he was like, we're not going nowhere. And he's like, on March 20th, this happened and this is why I left. It wasn't like some epiphany to go on a road of self-discovery. And a lot of us fall into that moment where, something happens. We're like, all of a sudden, we find ourselves on the edge. And what am I going to do now? Well, I guess. And he immediately wants to bound into something else, which is good. He has forward momentum, and that's why I have hope for this man. He's not I'm gonna fall into depression, I'm gonna lay in a hole and just die type of dude, right? Never give up, never surrender. I think he believes that. It's just the people are discussing the portrayal of the journey, and that's the problem, right? Like, yeah, I apologize. I don't know why it's not very loud. I don't know why it's not very loud. I'll try to figure that out. My settings or something. Just read in the chat. So, how many people here who are watching have gone through their own, path and stages of self-discovery where we're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Perhaps all is lost, and you know what I mean. Where we've all but given up, but we found that whatever it was that took us to the next stage, and we rebounded and created a better life. Yeah, no, I understand. I don't think, like I said, I don't think he understands, and that's why he's just calling it hate. I don't think he understands the way people feel about when they invest into somebody or something. Like, even when you're just supporting and giving money to charity, you kind of want to see something happen, right? And like when people are doing things like these fundraisers, these GoFundMe's and stuff, it's like it tears to your heart because you want to participate because you're a good person. So, and then when you something like Matt Brown does this thing, it's like, hey, I believe in what you're doing, bro. Like, this seems cool and everything. And yeah, we don't want you to suffer. We want to help you a little bit along your journey. And along your journey, we're going to experience things together. And he always refers to this as we are doing this together. So I think that's where a lot of the hatred is coming from, of obviously, right? Like, because instead of taking the people on the journey, he's been chilling, he's been self-destructing, and having a hard time of it. Um, you know what I mean? And I get it, I get it. Do you really? And maybe it's a 2 month long therapy session that people are paying for this man to become who he needs to become. He's got to go through the lowest of the lows to come back up again. I think that's possible. I think that's possible. But it's unfair, definitely, for the people who are like, hey, fucking Matt, I love your smile and I love your energy and I believe in you, man. And this is just good human nature here. And they're just giving money. And then he's like, well, I got high again. I got drunk again. That disappointment is tangible. Like anybody who's been an addict or been related to an addict or in a relationship with an addict understands that. Like there's only so many I'm sorry's that we can do. And I've been there and I've done that. At some point you have to stop saying I'm sorry and change your fucking behavior, right? And especially when people are financing you. And it's a different level. I can't imagine. You know what I mean? I don't think he even imagines what it is right now, like what's happening with him, like the potential that he has, and a lot of people feel like he's just shitting all over that. I understand that feeling. I really do. Just reading through your chat. Raggy says, "Yeah, I gave him advice about gear. I used to camp and hike all the time. I just wanted him to succeed. I can't donate money, but it's all fell on deaf ears." Yep. Dalton says Matt is the confather. Yeah, it's not. We don't hate just calling him on his bluff, says Dalton. And that's something that, somebody who's lost in the void is looking for one or two things. And it's usually just really one. They really just want to be saved and told they're okay and that everything's going to be okay. And they want to be held like a fucking baby. And I'm not saying this is a wrong thing because I've been there. The problem with that is that when we construct the situation, there's not going to be a whole lot of people around to hold you and console you. You know what I mean? And that's unfortunate for him because he hasn't realized that yet. He's got a lot of good. He's got a real. He's got a good grasp on a lot of it. I really feel like he has paid attention with his rehabs and stuff. And he's really paying attention to how he can hold himself back and everything. But he hasn't realized that it's all on him. Billy says, I was addicted to opiates a long time ago from dental issues, but I had children, and it made me realize that that's not the right path, and I need to change. Yes, sir. Catfish says, yeah, I've done that. Rebounded 40 years ago. It's not easy, but very rewarding. And maybe that's what draws us together. Necessary, and not. It's not. It's not a negative thing. It's people looking for other people who've gone through the struggle, and not necessarily that we need validation, but when we see an opportunity to share or to give strength, hopefully, and to support somebody who's struggling, that's what we're doing instead of like tearing them down. Because I don't see addicts or recovering alcoholics be like, yeah, I changed my life and then you're a piece of shit because you didn't. Like, that's not what that's supposed to be about, right? For sure. You know what? One thing that helped me in one of the last times I went through a program. I went through a program because I needed a redirection in my life. I was getting a little lost along the path. I was leaning too much upon, drinking or whatever it was. And then I went to this program. I'm like, I'm gonna do 30 days. I did my 30 days. The biggest thing I took out of there that has always stuck with me. It's it goes along with addicts will do or say anything to finance their drug habits. Correct. If they would just realize the power they have, the power that they are harnessing to achieve the end, to fulfill those addictions, and instead of using that power to do that, right? Use that power for whatever else they want to, because that power is theirs to use. They are power. They are not victims. They are creating the situation for themselves. We are. I am. Let me use those words correctly because I still have to check myself sometimes. You know what I'm saying? We have the power to change that. We don't have to be, oh, I am a victim. We could be like, I am the creator, right? So all those things that we did, all those weird, crazy things that we did to get high or to get drunk, everything we did to scrape by to get that high, if we harness that energy to do better or to do something different that was positive, it's not if, it's just a matter of doing it, right? Just a matter of doing it. There's no bashing going on here. Definitely not. If I can offer anything from my experience, I will. Like, if you want me to tell my stories, I can. That's fine. Like, I'm definitely not bashing. I'm coming from a place of sympathy, empathy, and understanding. Like, I want this dude to do better. I'm not like, ah, ha, 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 ha. I'm not laughing necessarily at this man, of course. I'm just, like I said, the best thing I think addicts or alcoholics can learn is that just reflect for a second and think about all the things you did, all the power that you harnessed to get high, to get by. Just flip that, yeah. Use that energy and put it in something else positive. It's possible. We just got to decide. That's it. It's not that easy as saying I will or I have chosen to do so. It takes discipline, of course. Yeah, you have to want to. And like I've always said, Wayne, I don't think we're here gathered to bash anybody. And definitely not somebody who we feel has a good heart and good nature and has, a positive influence on life. There are people here who are generally concerned, who have generally been, who felt like they've been taken advantage of. Yeah. And these are things that happens to those who are involved with addicts in their lives, whether you be an addict or taking advantage of an addict. Jane, sorry to hear you are hurting right now. Is there any way we could help you or, have a discussion with you? I would be happy to do so. Well, man, I don't think success. Like, what is the measure of success? Everybody has a different measure of success. Like, I think what he was doing before is pretty successful. Like, if he would just stayed on that, he was gaining momentum. I think he still is. Now, unfortunately, you know, with attention draws negative as well. Yeah, so it's a pivotal moment for him. I definitely think he's on his way to succeeding, whatever that means. Um, Yeah, yeah. Oh, he's definitely a different person while on the substances, and I think that's what people want to point out as well. Is like, hey man, you want to do the showmanship thing, and you want to collect and gather something. Let's not do it under falsehoods. Let's not be two faced about it. Like all about the struggle. If you're going to be honest about it, like I said, I'm more than happy to share my struggle with the world. If somebody's going to benefit from it or you take something good away from it, and necessarily not even that. Like if you want to talk shit, I don't really care because at some point when you're sharing your struggle, it's because you want somebody to learn from it. You know, I don't know why. I would hate to see him lose his channel, but there's ways around that. You can start a new channel. I've seen this happen. Um, because sometimes people do the wrong thing and they attack people who are just sharing their lives on YouTube, and they report them and they do all this, that, and the other just to ruin their lives for what, because they are unhappy that somebody else is making a living by just recording themselves. I'm not against that. Why would we be against somebody just documenting their life? And why are we mad that somebody else is paying attention? Like that's never where I'm coming from. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Hey, that's yeah, yeah. I'm sure he wish he could take that back. I imagine, And if I could sit down and talk with Matt, I'm like, bro, like, you felt bad about that. You know that was wrong. For somebody you claim to care about, that was wrong. You can't just throw him out there like that. You know. I'll step away for a quick 30 seconds. Hope you guys do not mind. I apologize so much. Give me a quick 30-second break. Thank you. All right. Just let people be. Not sure what you're trying to do by reposting stuff. What am I trying to do by reposting stuff? To be honest, I thought I tuned in at the beginning of this. I saw his video about a week ago, and he was obviously just beaming all over the place. And I feel like, for some reason, I gotta say something. And if you look at my channel, it was never about making content about people. I've made music, I've made gaming videos. I've been very pretty much set in that for like the last almost 10 years. But for whatever reason, I've been watching Matt Brown. When he had a certain video, I felt like I had to do something. I had to say something. I didn't had no idea anybody was gonna respond to it. You know what I mean? So this wasn't like an overall plan or anything. But what I am doing is communicating with people and connecting people to have communications. So what's up? What's the problem? And we're doing it from a place of encouragement and hopefully, you know what I'm saying, understanding. So thank you, Sun Tzu. For sure. And yes, to PNW Wonder says it's a discussion of a public figure who made his life public. That's it. So who cares? What am I trying to do? I'm just discussing a public figure who made his life public. Now, I would like to make it a positive thing and encourage the guy to have a good life. That's all. The Legend's wife checking in says you can follow us for Chapaka stuff. We actually live up there. And that's a little bit of Matt Brown lore if you want to check into the Legend's wife. I appreciate you checking into live. I did respond to one of your comments. If you were interested, I would like to have maybe a conversation with you just because I want to understand some things about our dude here. If not, that's okay too. Thank you. No, you're good, son, and you're welcome to give your, even if that's what your point of view is, say that we're being coattail riders or being assholes about something. Okay, thank you for your comment, and hopefully over time you understand that this isn't a gathering of hateful people. That's the way I would like it to be, anyways. Being concerned for people's concerns is ironic as okay. Hey, hello, Frank from Chile. Wow, from Chile checking in. Hey, Chile. From Arizona, United States of America. I am Frank White. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Well, you know, something about reminding people who are relapsing, it's like you could say whatever you want to somebody, but if they're not willing to understand it or accept it, then it's not going to matter, you know? And I think he will come to that realization as well. Like, you know what I mean? Whatever this focus is upon the relationship part, he's going to understand that he needs to build himself. I think, I believe, I hope. No, I think he's going to be a blackout for a couple of days. which is, it's gonna be a good storyteller, and leave you hanging. No doubt, he replied with one of my comments yesterday. I left on his post. I think I was actually the first one on one of his picture posts, and I told him to, Merry Thursday, Carpe Diem, and the boy sent a heart with that. So that was cool. He's out there. He's still there. PNW says, I will never see him the same after putting those little girls' addresses online. That's insane, in my opinion, so dangerous. The kids is a boundary you do not cross. They come first. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm going to have to agree. The things that we do in the darkness of addiction can't always be apologized for, and that's something that hopefully we learn before something is done becomes irreversible. Well, that's what I understood. I think he was saying he was going to go back to Orville. That was because I don't believe his plan was to ever actually leave. This was a reaction, like he was talking about reactionary abuse. This was his reaction to what he felt was abuse. And, from my perspective, it's a cry for help. It's all been a cry for help for her, and for the rest of us. And, I would like to understand more of the story because a lot of us are just checking in as viewers. We don't really know. So we get snippets, we get shots, we get 6-minute lives of rambling conversation, right? So I think that's why a lot of us are invested in trying to understand more, if you will. It seems to me that he has people who cares. Right? Doesn't seem like the Legend's wife has given up on him. Yeah, that's good. To admit that we need help, it's a good step forward. Hey, I can't do this on my own. Sometimes we can't. We're not almighty, all by ourselves. We solve everything by ourselves. We need help. And that's awesome. That's what I'm saying. I think he, and from the outside in, of course, like these are people talking right now who know him far better than the viewer does. So it seems like he's had help. He has help, and that's a great thing. And we're all happy to see it. Yeah, for sure. Like I said, you can say you're sorry a million times, but until there's changes in behavior, you know, it's hard to accept that. Ask me how I know. You know what I mean? I've been in situations where it's like I've been told this is enough and you need to change the way you are. Otherwise, you're done. You're out of my life and that's it. And the thing with the addict and or the person who constantly makes excuses to go there is we don't want to accept that because then we have to accept that we can actually change our lives just by making decisions. We made the decisions to get high and drunk, right? But we don't, for some reason, understand how much power there is behind deciding not to. We just have to find a different way to go. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I'm a clean sober guy. Like, don't get, do not get my message misunderstood. I don't use recovery. I don't use struggling addict. I am who I am. I've gone through these things. I've made the decisions in my life to stop doing this, that, and the things that led to the detrimental things in my life. I'm not perfect. And depending on what your level of perfect is, I still have a beer. I still have a toke every now and then. But when I realized that the addictions were taken away from my life, I had to reevaluate. And sometimes it took me many, many years to figure that shit out. And I had to lose many things, right? And there comes a point where it's like, that's enough. I don't want to lose anymore. And I think what we're hopefully seeing is that's it for him. And then he's going to really understand what he can do to make it better. Because you got to want to help for yourself first. And you have to want to help yourself first. People can rain down blessings upon you all day, will not change your point of view unless you decide to want to change your point of view. And that's what we're seeing here. Hi. What's up, Sheba? What's up, puppies? What's up, my puppies? Who's a good girl? Yes. Good girl. Oh. For sure. When it feels like you have no supportive team, it's easy to go off the rails. And then the thing I admire about the situation, and maybe that's the wrong word to use is admire, because I don't want to use a negative word, is that he has so many supporting people around him. And, you know, it's like, come on, dude. I don't know how much more of a supporting cast you could have. And I'm only saying that from perspective and probably a lot of us feel the same way when we've dug ourselves out of the bottom when we felt like we had nobody. And the only reason why we did it is because we didn't want to give up on ourselves. You know? And so I think that's another reason why a lot of people feel frauded. It's because it's like, dude, you're pissing it away, bro. pissing it away, homie. But we've all done it, so I don't want to come from a place of judgment, because I bet you there's people in my life like, hey, man, we tried to help you. I laugh at it because not really, but many people have been offered help and they didn't see it for what it was. You could not get much more of a bigger shower of help, I feel like, in my opinion, than this man has right now. And I think that's what we want to encourage, is that help. Yeah, we tend to do that. I mean, the thing about friends, from my perspective, is usually when I had friends, they also were doing the wrong thing. I found later in life that the less friends I have, the better. Like, but that's different for everybody. May you all be blessed with good friends, you know? Thank you. Appreciate you all checking in with the live, hanging out with me on Friday, just having discussions. I know we're talking about a person in particular, but I feel like not just this person will take something away from conversations like this. We all help each other when we're discussing our problems, and, let there be light. Truly do appreciate everybody here sharing their opinions, sharing their interactions. A stranger will help you before most family will. A lot of times, because strangers won't have preconceived conceptions of what they're giving, especially to somebody who they know is whatever. I think the best way to give is to have no expectations. I think the goal is just to have a conversation. Currently, we're talking about the subject matter of somebody that a lot of people are invested in, whether it be personally or esoterically, if you will, through watching a story unfold. So we're just having a conversation, touching bases, communicating. Like I said, I don't want to make this a thing about, oh, look, this person doing their worst. I think it's a discussion about how somebody could do better, and not in a negative tone, if you will. We thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming. You have a blessed weekend. Absolutely. Let's congratulate. Watching Stranger Things again. Ah. Well, maybe the goal, I don't know if it's a goal, but maybe we just offer a place of safety, a place to be allowed to criticize while at the same time offering hope. Good morning. Thanks for coming. Well, you can't force somebody into rehab. It's a choice. It's got to be a choice, just like the choice was to pick up the drink and pick up the drug or pick up the sex addiction or pick up whatever it was. It has to be the choice on the person. And a lot of times we have to reach a point where like we've lost everything to be like, what did I do? You know? Yeah. I know he tried explaining how he couldn't afford the apartment and stuff, but it feels crazy to step away from that. So I think there's a lot there we still don't understand. Like as far as walking away from everything type of situation and then expecting it to come after him. I've been there. It's the feeling of wanting to be chased and told that you're enough. It's a feeling of, even though I'm not proud of myself, I want somebody to be proud enough of me to make me feel good. Been there. That's hard. That's hard too. Once you start accepting that, it changes a lot of things though, you know? Who knows these days? I understand the government assistance is harder and harder to get, especially for like single males without children. Like, I don't know how. I know that from my perspective, a family of five, and sometimes Especially over like the last year, we've had one income and we've tried to ask for assistance. It's more and more difficult to get assistance. So even before that, I know they treated single men who don't have dependents a certain way. Like you might get food stamps, but it's very unlikely to be helpful. I mean, if we want to talk about benefits, again, coming from a family where occasionally we've relied on just the one income and sometimes we look for assistance, it's harder and harder to get these days. At the same time that they were just handing it out over the last 5 years, it's crazy to think about how hard it is for a citizen to get assistance. Institutionally capable of staying sober. What? Hey, that's good for you, Deb. Much respect. December 27, December 27 years sober. Okay, respect. I'll just put my 2 cents out there. I don't like to judge people because they're in the struggle, or what level of struggle it is, or what you have to do to achieve the break from that. Like, respect. I got you. Mentally capable. Well, some of us, I think everybody's mentally capable. Gosh, that is a lot of work, and that's I feel like individuals like who we're talking about everybody's mentally capable. I just again I just think it takes a lot of like, and again for to be sober, like I don't hang my hat on having to be sober. I put my hat on being responsible. You know what I mean? Like everybody, you can drink if you want to drink. You can smoke weed if you want to smoke weed, and you can take part of recreational drugs if you want to. I think the conversation is when we start manipulating people, lying, or taking away from others to sustain that habit. That's where it becomes like an addiction. Like for me, like we're not talking recreational hangouts. We're talking addiction when you start stealing, lying, and taking from others. So I think everybody's mentally capable, right? It's just about discipline, morals, and self-respect. I get it. Some people, when they say I'm an alcoholic, I can't drink, and I won't touch it. I get it. Bad things have happened. They've made their choice. That's cool. Some people are like, hey, I can have a beer, or I can have, 2 beers every once in a while and be okay. Understanding that there is a limit, right? Like there is a line that becomes almost uncontrollable for them, and they probably shouldn't cross that. And I think that's where a lot of people don't have any, what's the word? Just discipline, naturally speaking. Like discipline, you can't, if we can't stop ourselves, then that's definitely full blown addiction. Well, yeah, they talk about fully functioning alcoholics. Somebody who goes to work all the time, right? They ain't never robbing, stealing nothing. They work and they pay for their own booze, and that's all they do is drink with their money. I understand that. Who's that hurting? So you're not really manipulating somebody from there, but you probably are addicted. Like, cause I used to be in a way where like I'd work Monday through Friday, bang, 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 and then party on the weekends. Almost no sleep on the weekends. And it would hurt me every Monday and Tuesday. And I'd barely be catching my wits about me through the week and then go right back into the partying on the weekends. Like that was definitely an addiction process loop that I had to break. But, We can't stop anything, and we can't put a plan out for nobody. They have to do it themselves. You know what I'm saying? Dana says my husband and my two sons are functional alcoholics. I'm the one who's being abused. Okay, yeah. For every person who makes it, like I said, oh, well, I'm fine. I'm not hurting nobody. There's people that were hurting. I understand that. Definitely, we should always be open to accept that. And this is a free space if you wanted to share your story. And like I don't know if I mentioned before in the title, there is a link to the Discord, the Hangout. It's the Discord app. If you're familiar with it, it's just a place besides YouTube where we can hang out, have text conversations or even voiced conversations outside of YouTube. So if you're interested in joining that, I'm looking to build upon it, and perhaps we could build little separate rooms where we can have private conversations, where maybe so and so doesn't want everybody to hear it, but they want to talk with somebody else. So that's something we'll be building on. Yeah, that's a good point. We can't mend a relationship until we've started the healing. I think that's where he was trying to skip with his Jamie friend. That in the throes of our downfall, we definitely can't fix anything, can we? We're grabbing and clutching at things on the way down. Good for you. You understand what makes you feel at dis-ease and you walk away from it. You have the power. Good for you. Yeah, acceptance. And I think only once we accept that we were fuck up, then we understand what we did when we fucked up. We're all still capable. It's never too late. Only when we're dead are we too late. Is it too late? That's my point of view. It's never too late to try to fix something, to stop a bad behavior, to understand what you're doing isn't just harmless. That it's affecting people. It's never too late. But you have to be willing to accept that. And that's hard. Thank you. Appreciate you coming. And anytime you like to conversate, feel free to come back. For sure. And I think Matt's gonna realize that too, right? Like that not everybody's against him. That we're all healing, and that he can heal as well. I do appreciate you guys participating in the live. Didn't know how that was gonna go. It's been definitely a new influx of people, and I realize the topic is pretty based on an individual, but I believe there's opportunity here to go beyond that and for people to connect on different levels that is going to be helpful, you know, thanks to this person here, and bringing people together and connecting people is something I've always enjoyed doing. And it's not about exploiting Matt Brown. It's not about benefiting or trying to blow up or, you know, definitely feels like there's a good vibe behind just being concerned and offering each other words of, solace or, suggestions of way to do this, that upon the journey. So, I believe it's Sicily526. I see names in here that talk mad back about Matt in some chats that are supporting Matt and others. Pick a side. Well, they're all following the same person. So I don't think there is a difference of sides. There's just a difference of people's perspectives and how they're seeing the story. So they're all on the same side. Ryan, I thought this was about getting help for Matt, specifically Matt. Don't know how much he has helped other people, but if he has, I hope. Okay, so because he has helped, here's what's happening. People are concerned, and we're talking about ways that would be helpful. And I think that's going to overlap into other people's lives as well. So, how is this not immensely helpful? At the same time, let's show Matt some love and tell him that he's cared for and that we hope that everything's going to work all right. What's your question? Hello, kitty. Did I finish your statement? Yeah, that would be nice to see more people like, hey, Matt was helpful in my life. How has Matt helped you? How are you motivated by Matt's positivity? Yeah, I'm definitely for that, man. Say hi, kitty kitty. Yeah, I've failed to see anything that's been said here today in chat or by myself that's against him. If anything else, we're building communication about how people can rise again from the lowest points. I have addressed that some people feel a certain way about financially supporting him, and they feel like they were done wrong in that aspect. I personally didn't do that. Piece of cake. I like cake. Cake's dope. Always been a fat kid for cake, that's for sure. I mean, if you want to talk about a goal, what about this as a goal? What if someday down the line we've all reached a point where the redemption arc has happened, right? And we're celebrating him instead of talking about the failures. And him himself can be like, "Hey man, thanks for pointing out the points where I wasn't right. I needed that." From my point of view, you don't always care for it while it's happening, you know, but after a while, you appreciate it. Because I'm genuinely surprised how many people from his community are here. Like I was never very vocal, at the beginning of watching his videos. It was only until recently I was like, whoa, 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 bro, what's happening? What's happening? And I felt like there was a need to just not go along with the flow, but to say something. And everybody's got different perspectives on it and different feelings associated with it, and that's what we're talking about. And that's all. That's all. Like I said about myself, I see a lot of things that I went through in discovering and who I could be as a better person in regards to, you know, when I was doing drugs and when I let alcohol be a ruling system instead of me being in charge. Like I saw a lot of things there and I'm like, he's just not, he's not admitting it. He's not admitting it. He talks about recovery and he talks about being this, that, and he has a lot of motivational things, but I see there's something there and that's kind of what I had to say about it. Yeah. It's slow. It's on, if you want to change anybody's mind, it's always on the other person's timing, right? Like we have the information, we want you to accept it type thing. You can't expect that, You can lead the horse to the water, but you can't force him to drink thing. He could see himself, but he's not seeing himself the way we see him, yeah, or other people see him, and everybody's got varying degrees of perception. Why talk about him? Friends don't talk about friends. Friends don't talk shit about friends. Friends don't say friends could do better. I fail to see what your argument is here. What, do friends only blow smoke up your ass? Do your friends only say yes to you? Sometimes friends will tell you the honest truth that hurts. So if you want to look at it through that, then I would like it to be through that lens as a friend type perspective, not a troll, not a hater. Yeah, it will be on his timing when he's ready to receive. And that's what I'm going to say from a level of understanding, you know. And I think that's why we're discussing things here because everybody has different levels of where they feel offended or where either through his actions or the actions of people talking in the chats and the reactions through this or that. Well, here, and yeah, for sure. No, a friend's gonna tell you when you're fucked up, and a friend's also gonna support you when you're doing good or bad. So I think the way of seeing as two faced is: are we trying to tell you something? Are we lying to you? Are we lying to you? Are we trying to take away from you? Like, I don't think that's the case. And I feel like in reverse, a lot of people feel like he's the one lying and trying to take away from somebody. So they feel like he's being two faced. And there's a lot of hurt feelings with that, right? So by what you're seeing in reaction to what he's been doing, is a lot of people who feel hurt. No, he's come around. With the video I shared earlier that I found on Reddit, he's admitted to, you know, a lot of this being a farce and this being a reaction to some other things instead of what he's been leading us on to believe. Yes, sir. Long live King, long live King Cobra JFS, bro, or sis. Man, King Cobra. I feel bad for that guy because there was a guy who was genuinely bullied because of his life choices. Like, that guy was genuinely fucking bullied all the time. I think that's another thing that strikes me with Matt. He's like, oh, you guys are hating on me. Like, this guy, compared to some people, have no idea what receiving hate is. King Cobra, if you guys want to look him up on YouTube, semi-autistic alcoholic bro who I was drawn to because, I was like the black sheep, the fucking weirdos. I don't know, man. And he was definitely given a hard time for no reason besides just being a different dude. King Cobra. Yeah, no shit. It's crazy. And hey, maybe, and that's why we're like, we see something nowadays and we're like, we don't want to see that again. Maybe that's part of why or I've been drawn to something like Matt. I'm like, I don't want to see that happen. We don't want to see good people just tossed away. Decent people, you know what I mean? Doing nobody harm, just going through life. Yeah, they might be strange. Yeah, they might be different. And so what if they drink? And so what if they do that? As long as you ain't hurt nobody, there's no problem. That's funny as shit. That's what's up, tubes. If it's paid, leave it at the door. That's great, man. Yeah, we don't give up on good people, man. Dan says, think about single women with kids. We have to survive. And Jimmy's doing her best. I believe that, and I believe everybody who is. I believe everybody who is, period, doing their best, period, to survive, period. And I really hate to judge anybody who's doing their thing. And like I said, as long as you're not hurting nobody, there's no problem. You know, you're not taking advantage of somebody, there's no problem. Like my boy Cobes tried to make wands and give something to sell, right? So like when people, it felt like he was doing an actual deed and giving a good to sell. You know, he didn't just sit there and beg for money. I'm not trying to say that's um, parallel to the conversation we had with Matt, but yeah, kinda. Do you know? Be doing. Well, in the video that I posted earlier, he talked about something about August 11th. He decided to start doing something, and I believe he was alluding to drugs and alcohol, or whatever path that he chose to go upon. And then it kind of climaxed around March 19th or 20th, where he decided to grab his backpack and leave town. But chat will be able to fill you in with that. That's a crazy story, bro. Yeah, see, there's people here that know the lore better than I. I do recall a reference to Skate Girl, and you'd have to look into that at some point where he gave up his trailer apparently to help somebody else. I think that was around the August time frame that he was slipping into something. Well, that's a good point to point out. Then he should know that helped him out a lot. You know, not gonna lie, when I tune in, it was something good for my soul too. I like the scenic views, and even if he's talking about nothing, just hanging out, I'm like, yeah, I wish I was there on that mountain. You know, that's what's up. Good go potty. Come on. And it'll never be about relapsing for me. I will never hold somebody up to a standard that I feel like for anybody. I hold myself to a standard. I don't expect somebody else to do that, and nor do I expect somebody else to be like, Frank, you should do this. So like, I don't ever count that shit against somebody if they relapse, if you fall down, doesn't matter. Just admit your whatever, even if it isn't a mistake. Don't try to hide it. For real, that's it. And I think that's something we all could relate to, yeah. Can you see yourself hanging out with this person? I hear what you're saying. And I struggle with that word empath because I think everybody's has the ability to be an empath. We all feel stuff for other people. We just choose not to, either out of measures of defense through our own trauma, or because we just don't give a fuck about somebody else. Like, and that's where either doing out defensive measures or you're a narcissist. It all kind of comes from a place of trauma sometimes, and there's different levels of that. And I will never knock anybody who says they need to do something, who needs their routine. Whatever works for somebody, and maybe it doesn't work for everybody. Doesn't matter. If it works for you, keep doing that. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. That may be true, but I think it's his self, because he doesn't even realize that he is capable of being self yet. He has out of necessity to be loved, an attachment to be loved, and we've all dealt with that. I know how that fucking feels about abandonment and being left by your mother and your father. Like, that creates a lifelong work that you have to examine about love and about the attachments that you make. A lot of times it leads to mistakes. Shit, I'm on my third marriage, and I think there's a lot to do with that, because I felt what was love at the time was not. It was a need to be attached to something because I didn't have the love I needed. Not all people do. No, you're right. But I think most of us do. A good majority. Or a good portion. How about that? I want to be hopeful here. I want to be positive. Of course he does. You don't make it this far without making good choices. You just don't. You end up in jail or dead. like many people have said, you know. So to last 40 something years, and from my own perspective, 45 going on 46 years, obviously I've made good choices to make it this far. It can't all be a fuck up. Yep. Yeah, there's only so far that we can blame our situation. Like, our parents obviously influence us to a point, and at some point we either take our lives, and I only mean like we create our own lives. We don't continue to live our lives for our parents. We have our own lives. So, and I think that possibly Matt didn't for a very long time, till into his 30s possibly. Like, and that's hard to cope with, I imagine. There's a lot to digest there. Yeah, for sure. You got to know when to cut that cord. Otherwise, you're an anchor. And for one thing, I've realized at different points in my life, you don't want to be the anchor for somebody you love. Like, and that takes a lot. Like, it's almost like a sacrifice where you're like, this person will probably do anything for you and stick around forever. But do you really want to do that to them? You know? Or are you going to change and help them float so you both can ride the waves? I do too. Like, the traveling aspect of YouTube has always inspired me. And that's definitely part of the reason why I was paying attention, because I would like to travel or backpack or do any of these crazy things, go camping out in the wilderness. Sometimes I would think about doing 30 days in the wilderness myself just for fun. They all need escapes, man. That's for sure. That's funny. Yeah, and it's kind of weird to talk about like with somebody else having an introspective of an outside thing for a lot of us. Like we're all curious, but at the same time, I don't really want to be weird about it and be like, "Oh, tell us all the secrets." But I think we're all curious to know, like, the true nature of the people that we're paying attention to. You know what I mean? So if it was done in taste, where we're not necessarily shedding a bad light, but maybe you're opening some people's eyes, I think that could be done as far as telling the backstory on these characters, where they kind of really like it or not, right? No doubt. And I think that's what a lot of us would like to believe, you know? Well, and I think you gotta, if you really care about people, you gotta understand that that's still there when they're acting at their worst. It's like, yeah, we care about them at their best, but do you care about them when they're at their worst? Girls, girls. Yeah, for sure. I think it's disassociation, man. That'll some of us go through where we kind of create this. The story in our head is more real than the story that's actually happening. And a lot of times we do that out of defense reasons to like control the outcome or to mitigate the harm. It's like a self-preservation tactic almost. Not almost, it is. It just is. It's like a subconscious way to protect ourselves. Sure. There's a lot of I can you imagine if you and I you've got to realize that he does it to himself as far as putting his life out there, but can you imagine having yourself being scrutinized in such a manner? Of course it's tough. And yeah, we all want to be applauded while we're performing. And I don't think he wants to hear that, as many people don't. So, and especially in times of need, many people don't want to hear what we're doing wrong, you know, and that can be tough. And I think the money thing, he just kind of realized. I don't think that was a plan. I think he just realized the availability, right, and how easy it was, especially with the Cash App thing, and you're not waiting 30 days or whatever. Like, he just realized how easy it could be, and I don't think that was ever a long term con. I think it's definitely become a crutch, for sure. And yeah, we're all glad he's eating and he's got a place to stay. I'd love to see him continue to have that, of course, and that's a great way to continue to support himself. But no, thank you. I appreciate you guys showing up. I mean, we're all having opportunities to discuss things that mean something to us, and whatever it means on different levels. It's great. It's good. We're all growing from it, and I appreciate you guys for being here. And I would like to believe that this energy will go and be extended tenfold to Matt Brown himself with love and positivity, man. Let's let him know that it's not a hate coalition, and if there is, we're not part of it. We just coming from a place of understanding, empathy, and and love, really. So love for another human being, because we all see a good person and we know he can do better, and we're watching the story and we're sharing a story now, and we're gonna continue to do so, even when bad or good, bro. So we got you. Come on, we're just trying to live here. Yeah, for sure. And I haven't deleted no comments. I'm not gonna delete no comments. If people want to show up here and talk smack about them, go ahead. If people want to share love, even better. Me, well, I think I've kind of alluded to it. Like, I'm just a guy, man. I'm just a normal guy who struggled through life, and I see a lot of the same things happening with Matt, and even with the story about having a childhood that was crazy, and you know mental abuse, and physical abuse, drug addictions. That's kind of been me as well, and I've found my way through life up to now, where I'm 45, almost 46, and I see opportunities to help other people, even if it's just sharing my story, or whatever. And I'm struggling with Matt too, bro. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm an addiction struggle, but I'm struggling with trying to always find the positive of life, and always trying to make the best of it, and to never give up and never surrender, and all that as well. And I think that's what struck a chord with a lot of us. I'm a father. I have children. I got a wife. Um, I try to make music. That's my creative outlet. Currently trying to make a business where I'm self-employed. I've done YouTube for 10, 15 years, just doing random things. If you want to check out my channel, you can see how far back that goes. I'm all over the place. I've struggled with my own addictions, and I've never tried to hide the fact that I'm just a human being doing human things. So, like, even though some people think I'm just making content here to benefit off of somebody else, I see it again as an opportunity to grow and help people grow, and that's going to come back, hopefully, to Homeboy as well. And the world's the better for it. What's up? Appreciate you all. Been on this live for almost 2 hours now. I do appreciate the influx of newcomers, and like I said, I'm working on this Discord thing where off of YouTube people can come and go as they please, leave messages for each other, share whatever, create a voice channel where we can have live chats if you want to. It's called the Hangout, and that's what I think I'm trying to facilitate. Is just a place to hang out. Awesome. Yes, I do. I feel the same way. Some, you know, I'm going to be honest. I don't have a lot of friends that I speak to, so just by having conversations with people in this frequency, like in the amount of that we're talking, is moving energy, and it feels good to do so. you know, and it feels good that we're trying to steer it towards a positive thing as well. So thank you. I appreciate you all. I really do. It's it's good energy, you know. So and maybe that's the contrast that we need. We're all feeling a certain way, feeling down, feeling bad about something, and here's just an opportunity to feel better about it. So I'm gonna go with that. Let's go with the flow. Very good. I mean, to be honest, that feels like a good place to kind of step off live right now. Everybody's feeling good, having good vibrations. I think we all discussed about like intentions and feelings when we put stuff out there, and the world's gonna be better for it. So this small ripple of conversation will continue to go across the pond, and eventually will reach everybody who needs to be reached. Right. So thank you for commenting. Thank you for being a part of it. And, don't forget the fact that we're all drawn to the attention of somebody in need, and that drew us together. And we're going to put that positive vibration behind that person, right? And that can go for any situation or any matter. So let's not make it this is a Matt Brown discussion hour necessarily. This is about hanging out and feeling good about stuff. So, it's good to focus on one thing. There's other things we could focus on after this. We're going to stay together with the story, with the redemption arc of Matt Brown. We know it's going to work. We know it's going to be great. And I thank you all for tuning in. We'll continue this conversation next time. Thank you again for the new subscribers, for all the comments. Check out the Discord link. Continue the conversation amongst yourselves there if you'd like, or on the community tab, wherever here on my channel. Thanks for tuning in. Merry Friday. Have a great weekend. We'll talk again soon. I'm Frank White.